Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to, is my microphone, get your, if you don't know, I don't like my microphone in the camera. I feel like that's very unprofessional to have your microphone in the camera unless your setup is a certain type of way where you have to have your microphone in the camera. But other than that, though, if you got your shit on a stand and you can move it all around and shit like that, get that shit out the camera. That's disrespectful, bro. It's unprofessional. Get your microphone out the camera, man. I shouldn't see your microphone, bro. It's unprofessional, man. I'm sorry. But anyways, though, we here to react to the dark side of the Boston Celtics. After the the Jaylen Brown trade, it's time to have that discussion about this racist ass city, bro. Fuck Boston, by the way.
That's racist. That's racist. That's racist.
Fuck this racist ass city. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into this.
Celtics are trading Jaylen Brown to the Sixers for Paul George.
Isaiah Thomas consoled by his close friend Avery Bradley, still trying to cope with the tragic loss of his 22-year-old sister, China.
Have you had a chance to talk to him since he made his decision? I don't have his number.
For years, people have talked about what makes the Boston Celtics one of the greatest organizations in sports. 17, now 18 championships, Hall of Famers across multiple generations, a franchise that's almost always in a hunt for another title. From the outside looking in, they've become the model of sustained success. But over the years, I've noticed something that doesn't quite get talked about nearly enough. If you're a Celtics star, eventually your relationship with the organization seems to come to an end the exact same way. It doesn't matter if you're an MVP candidate, it doesn't matter if you helped deliver a championship, it doesn't matter if you've played through injury, sacrificed for your team, or carried the franchise when they needed you the most. At some point, the Celtics front office seems to make the same decision. And that decision is that we can do better. And that's what brings us to Jaylen Brown. After years of hearing his name in trade rumors, Brown finally got his chance to prove exactly what kind of player he was. With Jason Tatum sidelined, he stepped into the role of Boston's #1 option, led them to one of the top records in the Eastern Conference, and looked like the unquestioned face of the franchise. For most organizations, that's the kind of season that ends with the player becoming even more untouchable. But instead, Boston traded him. Now, whether you think the deal was good or not is not really the point of this video. The point is that Jaylen Brown isn't the first Celtics star to leave feeling like the organization had already moved on. Before him, there was Isaiah Thomas, the player who gave Boston everything, and I mean everything he had. Played through unimaginable personal tragedy and a serious hip injury, only to be traded the moment a bigger opportunity presented itself. And before Isaiah, there was Ray Allen, a future Hall of Famer who spent years hearing his name in trade rumors before eventually leaving for Miami, a decision that made him one of the most hated athletes in Boston, despite everything he had accomplished for the franchise. 3 different players, 3 different eras, 3 completely different situations. Yet somehow, some way, they all arrived at a similar conclusion. No matter how much they meant to the Celtics, they were never truly untouchable. So today, I want to look into whether this is just the price of doing business for one of the most successful NBA franchises in history, or if Boston has quietly developed a pattern of pushing away the very stars who helped build its success. Because when history keeps repeating itself, eventually it stops looking like a coincidence and starts looking like culture. Wait. Why are you not subscribed? Let me give you a moment.
Bro.
Just do it.
Hey, bro. Don't play with me like that.
Now, without further ado, let's get back to the video. When Jaylen Brown was drafted by the Boston Celtics with the 3rd overall pick in 2016, the reaction wasn't exactly enthusiastic. If you remember, analysts weren't really thrilled about this pick. They believed that Boston had reached. And also, Celtics fans themselves were booing this pick because both the media and Celtics fans wanted Buddy Hield. See, back then, we were in the Steph Curry era, and everybody was looking for the next Steph Curry. And in college, Buddy Hield was electric. He was a 3-point marksman, and people believed that his game would translate seamlessly to the NBA. But instead, Celtics fans got Jaylen Brown, someone who was viewed as an incredible athlete, but also extremely raw as a basketball player. His handle needed work, his jump shot was inconsistent, and some even questioned his feel for the game. So while in hindsight, it is actually hilarious that Celtics fans wanted Buddy Hield, in the moment, it kind of made sense. So from day one, Jaylen Brown had to prove himself. And to his credit, he did just that. Now, as a rookie, he did come off the bench and his numbers weren't really anything crazy, as he averaged a little over 6 points and almost 3 rebounds per game. But he was part of a Celtics team headlined by Isaiah Thomas, more on him later, that was the #1 seed in the East, and he was able to gain valuable playoff experience in his rookie season, where the Celtics were able to make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. But it was during his sophomore season where we started to see some improvement. After Jay Crowder departed to go join the Cleveland Cavaliers, and an absolutely horrific injury to a newly acquired Gordon Hayward.
Brother, you ain't had to show it though. That shit still, I gotta block that. I gotta block that, brother. Don't show that. That shit still sting to this day. That Gordon Hayward injury still sting to this day, bro. Please.
On opening night, Jaylen Brown was thrust into a starting role. And on a Celtics team featuring Kyrie Irving and a rookie Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown was able to practically double his stats in almost every category. He would average over 14 points per game, 5 rebounds, and almost 2 assists. And his shooting splits were over 46% from the field and almost 40% from 3. The guy who experts thought couldn't shoot was suddenly showing the ability that maybe he can. And when an injury to Kyrie Irving sidelined him later in the season, Jaylen Brown, along with the Celtics' young core, were asked to step up in the playoffs. And he did just that, as Jaylen Brown upped his scoring to 18 points per game, while
we could have won that series, bro. If Eric Bledsoe wasn't taking ill-advised shots, bro. We could have won that series, bro.
Still keeping his rebounds, assists, and shooting splits around the same. So not only was he showing the potential to be able to shoot, he was also showing the potential to be a playoff riser. Jaylen Brown, in only his second season in the NBA, was an integral part of a Celtics team that once again made the Eastern Conference Finals. So how would he get rewarded for this improved play? Well, the next season, he would actually have a reduced role. And this was because Kyrie Irving came back from injury, Gordon Hayward also came back from injury, so naturally, the Celtics wanted their newly acquired pieces to play a bigger role. And as much as this does suck for Jaylen Brown, where he's asked to take a step back after all the improvement he's shown, it is understandable from the Celtics' point of view.
And the Celtics suffered from that as well, because my Bucks ended up kicking their ass in 5. Reverse sweep, by the way. Let them win the first game, and everybody was like, oh, it's over. The Celtics got this. It's over. The Bucks ain't ready for this. The Bucks ain't ready for them Celtics. Shit, that's when that motherfucking saxophone started playing, boy. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah. Niggas talking about it was over after game 1.
Boy, it's out the mud. We got Rashad McCown. Kobe's 81. We got Kobe's 81.
Fuck out of here.
You paid all of that money to sign Gordon Hayward, you made that trade for Kyrie Irving, so naturally their roles will be solidified. And with Jason Tatum slotting in as a starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown just ended up being the odd man out. So with this reduced role came a slight dip in his numbers, where he averaged just 13 points per game, kept his rebounds and assists around the same numbers, and his shooting splits were around the same as well. But around the playoffs, Jaylen Brown's numbers improved once again, upping his scoring to 14 points per game, upping his rebounding to 6 rebounds a game, and also shooting 50% from the field and 35% from 3. So even in a reduced role, Jaylen Brown still found a way to make his impact during the playoffs.
I ain't gonna lie, Jaylen Brown was crazy.
This was the season where we started to see a pattern with Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics, and that was his constant involvement in trade rumors. See, during that 2019 trade deadline, the Celtics had their eye on a disgruntled star in New Orleans, Anthony Davis. But unfortunately for Boston, they couldn't make this trade because Kyrie Irving was still on his designated rookie extension, and since Anthony Davis was also on his max rookie extension, the Celtics were permitted from making this trade. So that means they had to wait until the offseason to try and trade for Anthony Davis. However, in order to trade for Anthony Davis, it was rumored that the package would have to include Jaylen Brown and probably Marcus Smart. And Danny Ainge was reportedly pushing for this trade. However, after some comments made by Anthony Davis's dad about Boston, it became clear that this trade was just never going to happen. So Jaylen Brown remained a Celtic. And how would he respond after having his name in trade rumors? Well, he would once again improve, as during the 2019-20 season, Jaylen Brown was up his scoring to 20 points per game, over 6 rebounds per game, and over 2 assists per game, and his shooting splits would remain similar as well. And once again, he would improve his scoring in the playoffs. And after being riddled with injury the very next season, the following season in 2021-22, the Celtics would recover from an absolutely terrible start, go on a heater, and end up making the playoffs, where they would go on an incredible run and make the NBA Finals for the first time in over a decade. And during that run, Jaylen Brown as a second option option to Jason Tatum, would be an integral part, averaging over 23 points per game, 7 rebounds, and over 3 assists in both the regular season and the playoffs. But even after all of this, even after sustained improvement over multiple seasons, even after helping the Celtics make the NBA Finals, after the Celtics lost in those same finals, Jaylen Brown was once again in trade rumors. Because after the relationship between Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets deteriorated, Kevin Durant ended up requesting a trade. And one of the teams interested in Kevin Durant was none other than the Boston Celtics. And the main trade piece in that deal would have been Jaylen Brown. Now, don't get me wrong, Kevin Durant around that time was still viewed as Kevin Durant. So it's understandable why Jaylen Brown would have been traded for KD. But this is now 2 times in Jaylen Brown's career where he's been dangled in a trade rumor even after all the improvement he showed. It almost seems like the Celtics are taking him for granted at this point. However, as we all know, this wouldn't be the last time that Jaylen Brown was in trade rumors. But don't worry, we'll get there soon. So over the next few years, the Celtics would continue to be a great team, and Jaylen Brown would continue to improve. And during the 2023-24 season, the Celtics would finally break through, where they would win the NBA championship against, ironically, ex-Celtic Kyrie Irving and the Dallas Mavericks. And during this championship run, Jaylen Brown would average almost 24 points per game, 6 rebounds, over 3 assists, and he would actually end up winning Finals MVP over Jason Tatum. Yes, the man who was booed by Celtics fans on draft night, the man who was constantly in trade rumors, the man who was pretty much viewed as the second option permanently to Jason Tatum, helped lead them to a championship and won Finals MVP. And after Jason Tatum would tear his Achilles during the following season in the playoffs against the New York Knicks, the 2025-26 season was viewed as a gap year for the Celtics. There really wasn't much expectation for this team, but apparently that message didn't get relayed to Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics team, because Jaylen Brown would help lead this team to the 2nd seed in the East, and he would be involved in MVP discussions. Now, unfortunately, the Celtics would blow a 3-1 lead to the Sixers in the playoffs, but there's no denying, with the low expectation of this Celtics team going into the season, it's truly impressive how much they were able to accomplish. So Jaylen Brown helps the Celtics win an NBA championship, wins Finals MVP, helps take over for the team when his co-star is injured, helps lead them to the 2nd seed in the East. So how do you think he gets rewarded now?
He gets fucking traded. And this is why I don't have a problem with players leaving teams and going on and doing what's best for them. Because at the end of the day, I said this before, I say this again. This is a business. If you are a player like Jaylen Brown in your 20s, in your prime, you got to take, hey, bro, make the best business decision for you, bro. Because these organizations, they don't give a fuck. Only thing these organizations care about is money. All these owners care about is money. Money, 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 money. Greedy, greedy, greed. That's all it is. It's greed now. This second apron shit has ruined the fucking league, bro. Because now teams can't sustain the championship. A team wins a championship, but they can't sustain the team throughout the years because of this stupid ass apron shit, which is fucking up the league entirely, making it hard for star players to stay in small markets. Which is now, bro, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Celtics, the fucking Clippers, the fucking Warriors, they don't give a fuck about no apron. They'll take that tax if they can get a good player to match up with their players. And think about it. They going out here and they holding on to as many players as they can, bruh. That's the crazy part. They can hold on to as many players as they can and still keep building, bro. The Celtics can still go out here and still get a fucking Nikola Vujovic from the fucking from the fucking Chicago Bulls, even though they got a stacked roster as is, bro. Come on, bro. Fuck out of here, man. You already got a stacked roster. You already paying Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown had the highest contract at one point. Fucking Jason Tatum got the second highest contract. Then you get Nikola Vujovic. Come on, bro. Pingus. You paid Drew Holiday extra money for the extension and shit. Then you traded him up, bro. Then you pick, bro. These teams don't care. It only hurts the small market teams, bro. It sucks. That's what I feel like, bro. I feel like none of these teams are able to keep their teams together because of this apron bullshit, and these owners have now turned this into money, greedy. We don't give a fuck about what the fans want. We don't give a fuck about maintaining a championship level team. Only thing that matters to us is how much money can we save by getting rid of him. Getting rid of this guy, getting rid of that guy. Would that get us below the apron? As long as I ain't getting super taxed for this, I don't give a fuck. But then there's some people that don't fucking care because they got all the money in the world and they in probably the strongest markets like New York and Los Angeles. They really don't give a fuck. Money ain't an object to them. But I feel like for Jaylen Brown, hey man, just go out there, ball, do what's best for you, and when your contract up, hey, make the best decision for you, bro.
Well, by being involved in another trade rumor, of course. This time for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Another trade where the Celtics are trading for a better player, but from a human perspective, it's a bit fucked up. Now, Jaylen Brown...
I mean, I wish this was the deal that would have happened. I wish this was the deal that would have happened. I wouldn't mind Jaylen Brown, but... Nah, we had to settle for fucking Tyler Hero and a bunch of scrubs.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pill at night, do I get
I love you. Through the fire. To the limit, to the wall. One chance to
Boy, it's after love. We got Rashad McCown.
all I ask is when you lay your head on that pill at night, do I gave you everything I had.
It is what it is.
Brown didn't do himself any favors with the way he crashed out on stream after the Celtics lost to the Sixers, and also the fact that he called this his favorite season. Even though he did clear it up afterward, it still was a bad look to say those things on stream after losing. Now, regarding the Giannis trade, this trade would fall through just like the other trades, but this time it was due to Hugo Gonzalez. Now, don't get me wrong, Hugo Gonzalez is a pretty promising player, but there's no way in hell that he should be the holdup in a trade for freaking Giannis. Now, after this trade fell through, everyone naturally thought this could lead to some problems in Boston, because yet again, Jaylen Brown was put into a trade rumor, and yet again, the trade fell through. So now he's stuck with an organization that clearly doesn't value him in his mind. And as we all suspected, that's exactly what happened. Now, as if it wasn't enough that Jaylen Brown's name was involved in yet another trade rumor, it seemed like there was a whole smear campaign going on against him. As we started to see some reports that the Celtics were not happy about the whole live streaming stuff, that Jaylen Brown thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and then there was that one idiotic comment made by an anonymous analytics guy where he said that Jaylen Brown was the 7th best player on a team. Not a championship team, but a team in general. Now, no matter what you think of Jaylen Brown, that's just an insane statement to make. Now, keep in mind with all these negative reports, this is...
Hey, to the reporter that said that though.
Boy, it's out the mud. We got Rashad McCown. He's 81. He's 81.
This is a man in Jaylen Brown that's really had no off-court issues throughout his career. So it was really sad to see his name being dragged through the mud the way that it was. And then we get to the trade, where Jaylen Brown gets traded to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George and 2 first-round picks, along with 2 second-round picks. Are you fucking kidding me? I've seen some people try to defend this trade and say that this is probably the value that Jaylen Brown had around the league, but at the end of the day, you really have to ask yourself this. If Jaylen Brown was the centerpiece of a Giannis trade, how in the hell did we go from that to Paul George and a couple of draft picks? some of these draft picks weren't even the most valuable draft picks that the Celtics could have gotten from the Sixers in the first place. And yes, we could look back at this trade in a few years and say maybe it aged well, but at the end of the day, in terms of value, this is a terrible trade in my opinion. Now, at first glance, Jaylen Brown's story feels a bit unique. A homegrown star who spent years hearing his name in trade rumors before eventually being moved away. But if you follow the Celtics long enough, you know this wasn't the first time one of their stars walked away feeling like the organization had already decided it was time to move on.
Man, fuck Danny Ainge. That's all I gotta say. Fuck Danny Ainge. To Danny Ainge for making that trade and doing Isaiah Thomas dirty when you knew you could have just paid him. No, I ain't trying to pay him. I understand he had a fucked up hip. I mean, in hindsight, he had a fucked up hip and he was never going to be the same. So you kind of dodged a bullet there, but still though.
Boy, it's out the mud. We got Rashad McCown. Kobe's 81. Kobe's 81.
That man gave his heart and soul. That man's sister died, and he showed up and gave y'all his best fucking performance, bro. With a bad fucking hip, and this is how you repay this man with a trade to Cleveland, which ended up sending him to LA, which ultimately ended up with him being out the league. Man, fuck Danny Ainge, you bitch ass nigga.
Because years before Jaylen Brown was wondering if Boston truly believed in him, there was another player who gave the franchise everything he had. See, unlike Brown, Isaiah Thomas wasn't a top draft pick expected to become a star. In fact, he was the last draft pick in the 2011 draft, Mr. Irrelevant. And to make matters worse, he was drafted to the Sacramento Kings. But even with the deck stacked against him, even though he was undersized, Isaiah Thomas made a name for himself immediately. During his rookie year, he averaged over 11 points per game. And then in his sophomore year, he increased his points per game to almost 14. And then in his third year in the NBA, Isaiah Thomas was scoring over 20 points per game. So essentially, he was a draft steal. But in true Kings fashion, they traded him away. And now Isaiah Thomas was on the Phoenix Suns. And this fit was honestly pretty interesting because the Suns had a logjam when it came to the point guard position. They had Eric Bledsoe, Goran Dragic, Brandon Knight, and now Isaiah Thomas. So obviously, someone had to go. And in this case, even though he was averaging over 15 points per game, Isaiah Thomas was the one that got traded. On February 19, 2015, Isaiah Thomas was traded to the Boston Celtics. Now, for some context, this was viewed as a rebuilding team. The Celtics before this trade were 20-31, but once IT arrived, everything changed. The Celtics would finish off their season on a 20-11 run, and this surge would put the Celtics in the playoffs as a number 7 seed. And during this stretch, Isaiah Thomas averaged 19 points, over 5 assists, and over 2 rebounds. He was literally the engine that helped fuel this run. So in half a season, Isaiah Thomas gets traded to the Celtics and helps lead them to the playoffs, even though they're supposed to be rebuilding. And yes, they would get swept by LeBron and the Cavs, but that was to be expected. After all, they were the 7th seed. And during the next season, Isaiah Thomas would improve yet again, upping his scoring to over 22 points per game, upping his assists to over 6 per game, and then once again averaging 3 rebounds per game. And this time, the Celtics would improve from being a 7th seed to now being a 5th seed. And during a first round matchup against the Atlanta Hawks, Isaiah Thomas would show out, averaging 24 points per game, highlighted by a 42-point explosion in Game 4, where he honestly looked unstoppable. Now, unfortunately, the Celtics would lose this series in 6 games, but this is steady improvement over the past 2 seasons. And this is actually incredible for a team that, once again, was viewed as a rebuilding team initially. Now, as impressive as his first 2 seasons in Boston was, his best was yet to come. Because in the very next season, Isaiah Thomas would go from All-Star to MVP candidate. As he would lead the Celtics to the number 1 seed in the East with averages of 29 points per game, 6 assists, and honestly, he might have been the most clutch player in the NBA. Bro. Time and time again, in the fourth quarter, when the Celtics needed him, Isaiah Thomas stepped up. And keep in mind, this man is only 5'11", but yet he's dominating every single matchup. Now, in my opinion, the Celtics did an excellent job with their roster construction because they surrounded Isaiah Thomas with 3-and-D wings and proper bigs in order to maximize his strengths and also hide his weaknesses on defense. So now it was time for the playoffs, and every Celtics fan was excited to see what this team could do. But unfortunately, right before the playoffs started, tragedy struck due to the fact that Isaiah Thomas tragically lost his sister in a car accident. This literally happened the day before the playoffs began. And I will always remember the footage of Isaiah Thomas just breaking down in tears as his teammate Avery Bradley tried to console him. And after hearing this news, for any Celtics fan or non-Celtics fan, the playoffs didn't matter anymore because this was bigger than basketball. And honestly, no one would have uttered a negative word if Isaiah Thomas chose to sit out the playoffs.
Not at all.
To grieve. But IT, he was built different. And in the first round, when the Celtics matched up against the Chicago Bulls, with all that emotion and adrenaline channeling within him, Isaiah Thomas came out there and drilled his first three-pointer. And he would go on to drop a cold 33 points just one day after losing his sister. Now, unfortunately for the Celtics, they would fall behind in this series 2-0, losing both of their games on their home floor. But after a Rondo injury, it seemed like the Celtics locked in, and they were able to win 4 straight. And in the second round, the Celtics would match up against John Wall, Bradley Beal, and the Washington Wizards, which is probably the best Wizards team in recent memory. Now, dating back to the regular season, these two teams hated each other. So once this matchup was announced, I was ready for all the shenanigans. And trust me, this series did not disappoint. And we got right to it in Game 1. Because despite 20 points and 16 assists from John Wall, and despite 27 points from Bradley Beal, the Celtics were still able to pull out the win due to 33-point performance from Isaiah Thomas. But if you thought 33 points was good, just wait till you see what he did in Game 2. Now in this game, the Wizards came out looking for blood, as they jumped out to a 20-5 lead in the first quarter, and during that time, Isaiah Thomas ended up losing a tooth due to an inadvertent elbow from Otto Porter. But it seemed like that knocked out tooth unlocked something in Isaiah Thomas, because even though the Celtics fell behind by 13 points after the first quarter, Isaiah Thomas would lead his team back, and just like he did during the regular season, in the fourth quarter, he dominated, scoring 29 points combined in the fourth quarter and overtime. And Isaiah Thomas would lead the Celtics to a 2-0 series lead with an incredible 53-point performance.
Dang.
53 points from a 5'11" guard in the playoffs. Now, once this series shifted back to Washington, things got extra chippy, as we saw fights break out between Kelly Olynyk and Kelly Oubre. And this series would go back and forth, ultimately going all the way to 7 games. And who could forget that iconic game winner from John Wall in Game 6? But in Game 7, it was Isaiah Thomas that stepped up with 29 points and 12 assists. And ironically, it was Kelly Olynyk who was the difference maker with 26 points off the bench. So now the Celtics are back in the Eastern Conference Finals. And this time they're facing off against none other than the LeBron-led Cavs. Now, unfortunately, this is where this fairy tale season would end, as Isaiah Thomas would re-aggravate his hip injury and would be unable to continue after Game 2 of that series. And due to this, the Celtics would lose this series in 5 games. Now, for context, Isaiah Thomas originally injured his hip during a game against the Minnesota Timberwolves during the regular season. And originally, this injury didn't seem serious, and it was categorized as a bone bruise. And because it wasn't viewed as serious, Isaiah Thomas chose to play through it. He played through the pain and decided to not take any time off. And according to reports, the Celtics medical staff prescribed rest and conservative rehab rather than surgery. According to IT, the team never informed him that playing through the discomfort could cause irreversible career-altering damage. And also keep in mind that Isaiah Thomas was up for a contract extension after this season. So after dragging his team to the playoffs, after playing through injury,
after all this, yeah, they set him up. Contract year, you got an injury that's been lingering. They talking about, nah, you don't need surgery. It's not no altering surgery. Nah, just get some rest, buddy. Just get some rest. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. You'll be alright, nigga. You'll be alright, little nigga. Ain't gonna hurt to just get some rest. Just get some rest. You'll be alright, little nigga.
Hey, niggas get shot every day, B. You be alright, nigga. You tough, right?
You be alright, little nigga. Just to ruin this man's career because y'all didn't want to pay him the extension.
After playing through the death of his sister, after losing a tooth in the playoffs, after having an MVP caliber season, how do you think Isaiah Thomas was rewarded? Well, during the 2017 offseason, after Kyrie Irving requested a trade from the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Celtics saw an opportunity and took it, as they traded Isaiah Thomas to the Cavs in order to get Kyrie Irving. And if you think this was slimy behavior, it gets even worse. Because when the Cavs brought Isaiah Thomas in for a physical exam, they realized that the hip injury was far worse than the Celtics initially let on, which means the Celtics willingly withheld information. And this revelation almost caused the entire trade to collapse, until the Celtics ended up adding a second-round pick to the deal to finalize it. Now, unfortunately for Isaiah Thomas, his career was basically over after this, because he was never able to fully recover from that hip injury. And it was really sad to see, because he gave the Celtics literally everything. He practically gave them his career. And yes, I understand from a basketball perspective, upgrading from Isaiah Thomas to Kyrie Irving made sense at the time. especially with Isaiah Thomas's injury. But the way the Celtics went about it was crazy to me.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were never truthful with Isaiah Thomas or the Cleveland Cavaliers about his injury is just slimy to me. Now, as painful as that story was, it wasn't the first time a Celtics star left feeling underappreciated. Because years earlier, another franchise legend found himself in a remarkably similar situation. The only difference was, instead of being traded away, he chose to leave on his own. Now, when Ray Allen was traded to the Celtics back in 2007, it was a start of something big. Specifically the Big Three. We all know them: Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and KG. A team of veterans teaming up in order to finally win their first championship. And during that first season together, they would prove just that. And Ray Allen was the perfect fit for this team. An off-ball shooting guard that would run around screens, get open, and nail three-pointer after three-pointer. During that first season with the Celtics, he averaged 17 points on almost 40% from three. And he was a huge part as to why the Celtics went on to win the championship that year against the Los Angeles Lakers. And that success would...
An argument could be made that Ray Allen should have won that Finals MVP. An argument is out there, bro. I'm one of the people that be arguing that. I just want to see Ray Allen shine, man. Bucks legend. Bucks legend, man. I just want to see him shine, man. But I was happy for him, though. I was happy he finally got what he was looking for.
Continue during the very next season, specifically in the playoffs, wherein probably one of the best first-round series in NBA history.
Greatest series. Fuck you mean?
Ray Allen would pour in 30 points in Game 2, 28 in
Ray
Game
Allen
4,
was going crazy,
and a crazy
bro.
51 in Game
series.
6 on the road. Now, unfortunately for the Celtics, they would end up losing in the second round against the White House.
Great series, bro. Ben Gordon and Ray Allen going bucket for bucket, band for band. I'm talking, bro. They was going at it, bro. It was a dog fight, bro. It was just nothing but
splash, 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 splash.
To the corner. Close your eyes, girl.
Splash.
Howard and the Orlando Magic, but keep in mind they were missing KG during these playoffs as he was out with injury. And with KG back the very next season, the Celtics would make the NBA Finals again, once again facing off against the Los Angeles Lakers. And it was during these finals where Ray Allen would actually have one of his most iconic performances, where in Game 2, he would go off for 32 points. And at the time, he set the NBA record for most three-pointers in a finals game with 8. Now, once again, unfortunately for the Celtics, and fortunately for me as a Lakers fan, the Celtics would lose this series in 7 games. And honestly, this would be the turning point in the relationship between the Celtics and Ray Allen, because after this, everything seemed to go downhill. See, at the 2010 trade deadline, Ray Allen was rumored to be involved in a trade to the Golden State Warriors, and in return, the Celtics were supposed to get Monte Ellis. Now, this trade of course fell through, but it wouldn't be the only time that the Celtics tried to trade Ray Allen, because just 2 years later in 2012, probably the biggest mishap happened when Doc Rivers mistakenly told Ray Allen that he officially got traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. In return, the Celtics would receive OJ Mayo and a draft pick. Now, the worst thing you can do is tell a player they're about to get traded and then come back and say, never mind, the deal is off. Because that player is already going to have in the back of their mind that they're not valued by the organization. And in Ray Allen's case, he was reportedly furious about this. And rightfully so. He was an integral part of the team's success, helped bring a championship to the organization, helped them get back to the NBA Finals just 2 years later. And after all of that, and in Ray Allen's mind, the Celtics didn't appreciate him and were trying any and which way to get rid of him. Now, the Celtics did try to reconcile by offering Allen some money, but by that time, from Ray Allen's point of view, the relationship was done. And it certainly didn't help that during the season, Doc Rivers wanted Ray Allen to come off the bench due to the emergence of Avery Bradley, which is understandable from a coaching perspective, but from Ray Allen's point of view, this was just the latest example of how the Celtics didn't value him enough. And then to make matters worse, the Celtics went on to sign Jason Terry that offseason, who literally plays the same position as Ray Allen. And that, in my opinion, was the last straw, because after this, Ray Allen would choose to sign with the Miami Heat on a lesser contract. And in my opinion, he probably did this to rub it in the Celtics' face, and also the fact that the Heat were the best option in order to win a championship. Ray Allen's services were needed by that Miami Heat team, and after feeling underappreciated in Boston, this was the perfect opportunity for Ray Allen. Now, this decision sparked absolute outrage from all Boston fans, as well as his former teammates, because you gotta remember, the Heat were the same team that beat the Boston Celtics in the previous year's playoffs. So for Ray Allen to go and join that team, it was viewed as betrayal. It was to the point where the very next season...
But what about his betrayal? Nobody cares about him and his feelings. It's about everybody else and they selves. Racist ass city.
That's racist. That's racist. That's racist.
Nah, fuck his feelings. Fuck what he going through. Fuck what Ray Allen going through. Nah, Ray Allen don't deserve no pity. Nah. Even though we was putting him in trade rumors for the past 2 years, disrespecting his value and shit like that. Nah. Ray Allen don't deserve no pity. We don't care about his feelings. Of course you don't, Boston. Of course you don't. You never do. Especially when it comes to the black people.
That's racist. That's racist. That's racist.
I forget what y'all did to Bill Russell. Fuck y'all.
Ray Allen went over to dap up KG, and he wouldn't even look him in the face. And it certainly didn't help that Ray Allen would go on to win a ring with that same Miami Heat team that very season. Now, as time has gone on, that relationship between Ray Allen and his former teammates never seemed to get mended, as he's the only Big Three member to not have his jersey retired by the Boston Celtics, and when the Celtics had a reunion, Ray Allen was purposely excluded. And now I understand from a sports perspective, yes, it does seem like betrayal because Ray Allen went to the team that just beat him, but at the end of the day, if you look at it from Ray Allen's perspective, how can you blame him? Like, I always find it funny that fans and sometimes players always come to the defense of the organization and blame the player for leaving, but
it's a business, bro. You got to do what's best for you. If you feel like you're not getting valued here, then you go somewhere where they value you. And then he valued him, so he went where the value was. Fuck you mean? Nah. Ray Allen deserves his flowers, bro. Even if Boston gonna be some bitch ass niggas about it still.
They never look at what the organization did to said player in order to push them to that point. Because for years, you had him in trade talks, you reduced his role, and you wrongfully told him that he was officially traded. And then you signed his replacement that very offseason. After all of this, why on earth would Ray Allen re-sign with the Celtics? Now, honestly, there's a way to look at it that maybe the Celtics aren't heartless. Maybe they're just one of the most ruthlessly pragmatic organizations in sports, and that approach has kept them relevant for decades. But on the other side, it's also left a trail of stars who walked away feeling disposable. And when 3 different eras produce the same ending, it's fair to ask whether that's simply smart management or whether it's become part of Celtics culture. But what do you think? Do you think this is part of the Celtics culture? Do you see this as a pattern? Or do you agree with what the Celtics did with Jaylen Brown, Isaiah Thomas, and Ray Allen? Also,
I don't agree with none of it. First of all, fuck Danny Ainge for what he did to Isaiah Thomas, and then fuck Brad Stevens for what he did to Jaylen Brown. Fuck you. You know you could have traded him to the Bucks. You know we could have used him. Why? Because y'all ain't want to give up no weak ass Hugo. Man, fuck Hugo. We could have traded him right back to you, bro. We don't want to really. Well, then again, if we wanted him that bad, well, he must have some value to him. But fuck that nigga, man. It's Giannis. Take him. You don't want to be here? Fine. Shit. Give us Jaylen Brown. We good. Nah. We got to settle for the fucking Heat. Pain. Pain. But anyways, though, that's just going to about do it for this one. I will see you all in the next video. Fuck Boston.
That's racist. That's racist. That's racist.
Fuck Boston.